Let's get cracking.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode, another day of Dota 2 Champions League. Right now, we are good. We're good now. All right, beautiful. We fixed all the issues. Sorry about that, guys. We're up here late. We had a new studio. We're still trying to figure out all the kinks, but we are finally back up, and we're having a little bit of experiment. Toby on right now, he's covering the MLG TV, and I'm going to be covering this whole Dota 2 Champions League for today, tomorrow, and we're having a bit of an experiment here, and we hope you guys enjoy it. We're going to be bringing on, I'm going to be controlling the camera, and I'm going to be controlling the overlays and everything else, and I'm going to be not your main caster, though. I'm going to be your co-caster, and I'm going to be bringing on, you know him, you love him, the man with the golden voice, Mr. Aaron Ayesee Chambers. He's going to be coming on. He's going to be my play-by-play man for today's match of Na'Vi versus VirtusPro. Ayesee, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, it's great, man. It's great to be back on the mic with you, and certainly a pleasure to be working with Join Dota. I mean, it's obviously, you and I worked together a long time ago, was kind of chatting about that before we got going. Back in D2L Season 3, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, we all know each other, all work in the scene, but this is the first time I've ever done anything like this, and certainly the first time I've had a chance to work directly with the Join Dota like this. So special thanks to you and to Toby, and of course to our great sponsors and the league itself, D2CL, and should be a lot of fun. And hopefully you and I, as we move forward throughout this early group stage of the D2CL, should be spending a lot of time together. And certainly I empathize when it comes to trying to get studio equipment to do what you want it to do. That's not always the easiest thing to accomplish.
It is. It really is, especially when you're dealing with a new setup that you haven't really had a whole lot of experience with, and all of a sudden things are wrong. You just don't know why. But, guys, we're already running a little bit late. We're already getting into the draft here. Ayesee, you want to take us away?
Yeah, we could take a look and see. I mean, Na'Vi grabbed the early Invoker pickup with a Lifestealer to go with it. Havo's going to be back on the LS, one of his favorite heroes. And nerfs be damned, he's always continued to play the hero very effectively. Get to see most likely the Dindy Invoker. On VP side, though, I really like, I'm really intrigued by their draft. Leading off the Nature's Prophet, that'll most likely be played by Smile. And just getting to cast VP all throughout CIS Carnage, which is the last time I got to see them directly in action. They did have some problems they needed to shore up, but when they had success, a lot of it had to do with whether or not Smile was really making plays across the map. So getting him that hero early on is a great way to give them that flexibility, allow them, more importantly as well, though, to deal with the split push that Invoker can oftentimes bring to bear. But we're not seeing that pure 100% Exort build all the time anymore since 6.8 dropped. The nerfs to Forge Spirits, the nerfs to Necro Book. Either way, should be a fun match to watch. And now VP getting Puck. I mean, when you look at this lineup, they already feel a little thin, a little squishy. The Puck obviously elusive, but the rest of the lineup very easy to pick off with burst damage, and they do have a bit of that, but it's a lineup that's going to give you a ton of range, a ton of flexibility, and the ability to make things happen across the map, be it through movement, be it through teleport ganks, or be it through flat-out smoke ganks early on. So Na'Vi should be facing a lot of pressure here.
Yeah, what I really love about this draft coming out from VirtusPro is it suits their style so well. The really early aggression. I mean, I've been really sad to see VirtusPro when they first put together this lineup and they announced all of these really old school names. When, you know, I was getting into competitive Dota, I watched some of these guys make their way, and they were just pretty much masters of the scene. And it's been sad for me watching them not really get as much success as they once used to. And so I'm really hoping they're going to make that comeback. They're going to be able to change up things, and aggression is certainly their style. And I love the way we've already got a little bit of synergy here with the Nature's Prophet and Ancient Apparition. Global Ultimate's coming out. But I have to say, teams have been banning out the Invoker, and honestly, it's just too harassive to deal with. Just the new Quaswex Invoker, being able to throw down that Tornado EMP and pretty much ensure that you're going to hit that EMP on most heroes because the lower time for that to be able to go off. And I see, look at VirtusPro's lineup. It's a very squishy lineup that does depend pretty heavily on their mana. They're going to have all have high mana pools, which will help versus the EMP. But I still foresee that just a good Tornado EMP combo by itself could easily devastate VirtusPro's 5-on-5 team fight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And looking at Navi's lineup, this is reading like if you were to list a group of heroes that everyone on the side of Navi is ultimately comfortable with, it would read a little bit like Navi's draft right now. Dindy's Invoker, Havos Lifestealer, KKY's Rubik, and of course Clockwork for Funnick. I mean, these are just heroes that are borderline or flat out marquee heroes for these players. So seeing them get all of these heroes in one draft is going to put them in a very comfortable zone. I love the Clockwork to work with the Lifestealer as well. VirtusPro has yet to show us a hard carry, whoever that may be, or hell, sometimes they'll throw you a curveball and just say, nope, we're just going to try to carve you up with a scalpel instead of try to run you over with a bulldozer. But whenever they do get that one big priority target, Clockwork has a nice mechanism for Lifestealer to get into these fights via hook. That saves them a lot of trouble, as well as Invoker. I mean, Invokers still very typically will build a 4-staff at some point in the game, and it's easy to underestimate just how big the AoE on Lifestealer's infest is whenever he comes out of any target he's infested into. So Invoker, even in that sense, just being able to 4-staff in, cold snap, etc., can serve as a vehicle as well. So yeah, and VirtusPro going to show us the Naga Siren. Now, by all accounts, the support Naga Siren, not quite what it was, and have been seeing Naga run a lot more as a carry. And, this is an interesting pickup. It's going to allow them to disjoint these fights. Navi should have the initiation advantage in most cases, unless Puck is just spot on with his Waning Rifts and his coil. So having that Song of the Siren to rely upon is going to give them a little bit more leeway. And as we said, they're going to feel pretty squishy. They're going to need the ability to back out of fights and dodge fights if they're not going off on their terms.
Yeah, honestly, looking at this lineup from VirtusPro, I definitely first saw the Faceless Void as one of the priority pickups for them with that carry. But unfortunately, it was banned out by Navi, and I think that was a really smart ban out because, honestly, the global combination of Faceless Void mixed in with the Ancient Apparition Ultimate and the Furion Ultimate, it pretty much ensures early kills that is very, very tough to be able to deal with. So I think that was really the carry they were looking for here, but you always got to have a backup, and Naga Siren's going to work just fine. They've got a nice, decent synergy in the laning ways. We've got that net being thrown down, a nice, long disable to be able to combo with the Cold Feet that Ancient Apparition is throwing down, and I'm just a little bit concerned about these supports coming out. Shadow Demon and Ancient Apparition. There's so much good mid-game here coming out from Na'Vi that, and even early aggression, like with the Rubik and you've got the Lifestealer, like that's a decent early game combo to be able to put some pressure on VirtusPro. When they start moving around the map a little bit, Clockwork's level 6, I'm not entirely sure that VirtusPro is going to be able to have enough of a early laning presence to be able to deal with Na'Vi going into the mid game and looking very, very strong. And we can already see how VirtusPro are actually going to react with this. They're going to throw down the Nature's Prophet. He teleports very, very early between the Tier 1 and Tier 2s, gets spied out, but looks like he's going to be looking for some sort of aggressive war. We're just not entirely sure where.
Yeah, and, your concerns are identical to mine whenever I look at the way VP's lineup's going to match up against Na'Vi. This is one of those games where VirtusPro simply cannot fall behind. They don't have any reliable mechanism for comeback. I mean, Nature's Prophet, yeah, he's going to get his gold. But generally speaking, against professional teams that know how to move, especially whenever you have a Keeper of the Light there for counter push, and the fact that Puppy will be able to teleport folks in with his ultimate on the Keeper of the Light means a little bit of the advantage a Nature's Prophet usually gives you in global presence is not going to feel quite as pronounced. So VirtusPro simply can't afford to have things go wrong in the laning phase, or they're going to have a very tough time getting things back together. And yeah, we can already see Na'Vi moving through their jungle. I was actually going to say, I think they are going to aggressive tri-lane this, and there's no reason not to. As you said, there's some nice comboing potential between the supports and the Naga Siren with Ensnare, with Cold Feet, and so on and so forth. But in terms of just pure punching power, if they eat one Illuminate in the face with open wounds to be able to follow it up and Rubik's Telekinesis, they're going to end up giving up a lot of kills here. Havos, though, is making his way back across. But yeah, this is going to be a safe lane Funnick. They're going to be under some pressure, I think. Nope, never mind. Looks like Havos actually going to make his way into the jungle.
That's really interesting because I really thought they were going to go for an aggressive tri-lane, seeing as these two supports are pretty defensive. Chilling Touch gives you a lot of power at level 1, but after that, you really start falling off as an Ancient Apparition support. And Shadow Demon is purely defensive for the most part, unless you're comboing it with some sort of Mirana combo. So I'm surprised that they don't go for it here, but it looks like they're doing something a little bit more interesting. Clockwork right now, and Puppy is still staying in lane for the time being. So maybe he's going to provide just a little bit of protection for Funnick because they know this is a pretty defensive lane that as long as they have that extra hero in lane, Funnick should be able to pick up pretty much full experience here.
We can see Puppy taking quite a bit of damage as, yeah, that double damage rune on an AA might be an ancient apparition. Still hurts quite a bit. But yeah, so far as, yeah, it looks like Puppy is going to go ahead and bail out. I was going to say he could stay and they could just try to spam her ass with, and shove the lane with nothing but Rocket Flare and Illuminate. But, you know, that has its own drawbacks. Instead, they're just going to go ahead and head top. Now, let's talk about Smile for a minute. You know, he's going to be in some trouble here if he's caught out. And I want to see when Puppy puts a point into Mana Leak. But for right now, whenever you look at what Na'Vi has to try and bring him down, they really only have telekinesis. They don't have any other dedicated stuns unless he runs away while Mana Leak. So he should be able to hang here. He just has to be very, very careful. And again, just VirtusPro, the way they've been playing lately, they rely so much on Smile making plays across the map, so he needs a good start.
Yeah, he should be all right when it comes to pulling and that sort of thing. So I foresee him keeping on the same level as Funnick. But what I like about VirtusPro's lineup is they're running that Puck versus the middle Invoker. Now, Dendi, of course, is an extremely strong mid player, but even the best mid players are going to have troubles with the Puck versus Invoker matchup because Puck starts out, when you go for a Quas Wex Invoker build like this, Puck actually has a huge damage lead on the Invoker, so it allows CSing a little bit easier for the Puck in general. And on top of that, you get in a lot of that early spam with the Illusory Orb that is able to counteract some of Invoker's early aggression. So maybe you can't force out Invoker entirely, but you can definitely out CS him.
We can see Puppy's making his way through the Radiant side secret shop right now, maybe prepping for a dive. Smile anticipating it is quite a bit ways back, and yeah, he's going to get eyes on him and should know what's going on, but they're going to go ahead and start banging away on this tower. Now, talking about Smile and his, let's see, yep, there's Jodam right there with him.
Oh, no, he was looking for the block.
And here we go. Puppy could be in trouble. KKY's there to try and help. There's the Telekinesis. There's the Illusory Orb as well. We'll shoot south. However, the damage is going to be there. First Blood's on the board. And give it to VirtusPro. That's exactly what they need to have happen in these lanes. They don't have to win every lane, but they need to get off to a good start on these key heroes. 1-0 VP leads.
Yeah, really good rotation there from Jodam, picking up that Invis rune and making his way over. He was actually trying to block up that small little area. He was just slightly down the steps. You need to be a little bit farther up in order to actually body block somebody because it's such a small, clutch little area that it's hard to get through. But got actually taken a little bit of harassment in middle. That's the danger of Cold Snap is even though you do have phase shift, it's kind of one of those, it just lasts a little bit too long. So if you're caught out in the wrong position, taking creep aggro, Dendi will definitely push that button and kind of force you back a little bit. But for the most part, he's staying pretty far ahead, 14-2. Dendi actually doing a really good job right now. He was able to pick up an early Blades of Attack, which is exactly what you need for Quas Wex.
Disruption at bottom. We're going to have them try to follow this up. There's the Chilling Touch. Funnick in a lot of trouble. This is going to be 2-0. VirtusPro executing on the back of Jodam very, very well. And this is, you know, for a long time, Shadow Demon was a first pick kind of a hero. This is why he fell off due to just some metagame changes, some things that teams wanted to prioritize. But we're seeing the power of that hero put to expert use right now. VirtusPro now with 2 kills in 2 different lanes. Well done.
Yeah, well, VirtusPro may not have the greatest supports when it comes to 3v3 scenarios. They definitely have a really strong single target with the Ensnare mixed in with the Cold Feet. And Clockwork, it does not have a very good defense mechanism against that, especially when Disruption is leading. You just get in melee range, and Cogs does nothing. In fact, if anything, it's more of a hindrance at that point in time because it means you have to get in an auto attack and try and make your way out, giving more time for Cold Feet to get its damage in. Ancient Apparition forced to pick up the double damage rune. God would have loved to have that, but Funnick sort of forced it out of him. So it still means they're keeping the rune control, which I like from VirtusPro, and they seem to be controlling this game really well. Nature's Prophet, for example, is about to pick up level 4 in this offlane, so he's doing a really good job versus the Rubik Naix combo. Right now, Keeper of the Light is pretty much full-time jungling. Now that he's picked up level 2, once he has level 3, he has that extra bit of Chakra Magic. You can just pretty much fully spend all of your time in the jungle, stacking and clearing through those extra bit of golden experience.
Yep. And we can see him doing that already. Level 2.5, still a little slow coming out of the jungle, but not the end of the world. As you mentioned, Smile did find his level 4. Funnick, in the meantime, though, about a half a level ahead, but still that's really not a bad pace for this Nature's Prophet to be on. And we've seen VirtusPro already put him to use in terms of being a +1 to these gank engagements. Yet another smoke has been picked up by Jodam, and yep, he's already rotating in here to mid. And we can see that smoke's going to be on the way. AA coming with him. VirtusPro very likely to take a run at Dendi. The rest of the lane seem quiet, so we can focus entirely here. And let's see, are they going to use it? Behind the trees, he's poking around. And it looks like they're going to hold on at least for a moment. But up, Dindy tosses the tornado. Did not get a look at him, though.
Yeah, they actually threw down a counter ward, which reveals the laning vision over there and in the middle, right next to Dendy. So earlier, Na'Vi were trying to make sure that there wasn't going to be any sort of attempted ganks on Dendy. Seeing as how well he's doing, and that's probably because he's doing so well, God is going to be calling for that help because, honestly, Dendy is picking up so much CS, already has that phase boots, is really, really impressive. You're not supposed to be leading that much. Funnick, though, has an invis, and Jotham's in trouble.
And here we go, got some help, and it looks like Funnick wisely got to pull back. Found that haste, but was spotted out before he could put it into any good use. Is short of level 6, so Hook wasn't going to be an option. Kuroki there. They're going to take a run at God. They get the telekinesis. They have the burst. They don't. God makes it away with less than 100 HP, but very quick on the ethereal John and able to keep himself alive. This has freed up a lot of free farm and a lot of experience for Smile in this top lane, though, and he's almost level 5.
Yeah, and once that ultimate comes into play, you've got a lot of squishy heroes who need to be careful that you can easily be turned around on with a counter gank. You try and go gank that middle puck, and all of a sudden you have a Furion coming in with his ultimate, and a defensive Shadow Demon Disruption can do wonders for being able to turn a gank around. So they got to be careful about that. God finally getting his opportunity to clear that middle ward. But they've rotated out quite a bit, which means Funnick was able to go really, really aggressively forward and now has level 5. And once he has that hook shot, that's the biggest concern factor for me, is I don't see how VirtusPro are really going to be able to deal with a Lifestealer and a Clockwork who are decently farmed up going into the mid game. It's a very, very dangerous hero that can easily snowball against these squishy heroes on VirtusPro.
Talking about farm, something we really haven't given any attention to is Illidan, sitting down at 46 CS. Not tops on the board, but damn near it. He's got 2,400 gold set away on top of his brown boots and bass. He could very easily be a Radiance rush. Early Radiance on Naga can do some damage. It's not quite as effective as seeing an early Radiance on a Lone Druid, for example. He just has a much better kit and is able to keep himself alive much more reliably. But it does give you a chance to reliably keep ahead in farm just by using the Radiance burn to farm the jungle. Now, that's not a guarantee. Sometimes you'll see teams set back a lot of gold just to keep their options open. Then they'll do something like just finish a pair of boots and work on a BKB. Don't think that's going to be the issue, and that's why why Naga Siren carry has always been a little bit questionable. I mean, you could even go straight for Lincoln's if you want, but it just takes so much to get her legs on the ground for, well, she doesn't have legs, but if she did, to get her on her legs on the ground and get her off running in terms of just a hard carry potential. And VirtusPro, I mean, they've gotten off to a great start, 2-0 now, and have been able to stabilize the lanes from there. They still have a lot of distance to cover in terms of getting Illidan where he wants to be for big team fights coming up soon, though.
Yeah, I'm really wondering when Na'Vi are going to put that attention to the bottom lane. It should be once Clockwork and Lifestealer are ready to pretty much combo up. They should be trying to shut down that Naga Siren, because once you have that Radiance, all of a sudden Naga Siren turns into the fastest farming carry in the game, because being able to utilize those mirror images basically clears through a whole entire jungle in 2 different lanes. Just through one throw of images. So it's really, really dangerous to just leave a Naga Siren farming like this, but there are 2 options. You pretty much try and shut her down in lane and keep her from getting that Radiance too early, or you allow that to happen, but you get really, really aggressive in the mid game and try and end this game before you get into that really big Naga Siren that is constantly split pushing you and forcing you away from the base because you have to address some side lane.
Yep, if that's going to be the build, the Relic's only 600 gold off now, and she has the build she's gone so far, not really surprising. 3 points in a Riptide, 2 into Ensnare, only 1 into Mirror Image, and you can usually read a lot about that based on a Naga Siren's build. Very often, you'll see Naga Sirens honestly play a little bit like a Broodmother, just sit on lane the entire game, usually the safe lane where they can have access to the jungle, as you said, and anytime the action flows away from their corner of the map, they start to push the lane out, but doesn't seem like that's going to be the plan. Instead, VirtusPro anticipating that early aggression we're likely to see out of Na'Vi as we now cross across the 10-minute mark. But Havos has gone Midas, so in terms of pure farm advantage, Havos is not going to be all that worried about the Radiance coming out and her getting to work in the jungle, so long as he can stay on par on items and hit his timing window. He's going to have some kind of a window in mind, some kind of a build that he wants to execute, and we'll see if it's going to be something like an early Basher, if he's going to want to get an SNY build, drums, that kind of a thing. Still a lot of options open on both sides. Smile At level 7 now, as you mentioned, has his ultimate available. Squishy's going to watch out for that. But no other items other than a pair of phase boots. So his effectiveness going to depend so much on his decision-making. Dindy going to be coiled. There's the AA ulti to connect. And Smile is TP'd in. Dindy, though, will end up cleaned up. Puppy's right there to try and get a little return damage. But the Illuminate going to be tardy to the party. KKY shows up as well. But another well-executed gank out of VP. And they're doing everything we knew they had to do here early. Getting off to a good start and making sure the lanes are in their favor.
Yeah, I'm really concerned about the fact that they were just able to pick off Dendy, and there still doesn't seem to be any real movement from Na'Vi to that bottom lane. So pretty much VirtusPro have shut down the one hero they need to. Lifestealer, like, you would love to be able to pick him off, but it's not worth the effort. Dendy, on the other hand, on the Invoker, is perfect. Like, he's a decently squishy hero that is pretty susceptible to that Ancient Apparition Furion combo. So you're pretty much guaranteeing yourself a kill if you could set it up with the Dream Coil. Those 3 nukes by themselves are enough to pretty much pick up a kill, but looks like we're to see action at top.
Smile comes in, gets the treants out, but don't think it's going to be enough. Na'Vi has rotated the majority of their manpower to top and are going to work now on the tower. We can even see Puppy hanging around the back. He took a AA ulti right on the chin and doesn't want to take any chances. None needed to be taken as the top tier 1 does drop down at bottom. We can see Illidan and company trying to do a little counter pushing, but Puppy's already in position. And this is, again, just one of the strengths of a keeper of the light pick. Being able, with a Furion on the map, with a Naga Siren split push potential, just having him to TP in and one Illuminate can clear lane.
Yeah, it is a big strength of Keeper of the Light that you can actually deal with the split push of Naga Siren because the illusions are squishier, but also because the build of actually top we're going to see action with Smile getting a little bit low. He's going to go easily picked off by Dendy with a nice Tornado EMP. So really good reaction by Havos as well, chopping down those trees very quickly with the Quelling Blade.
Another AA ulti connects. Will be an armlet build coming out on Havos. Does have his phase already up, as mentioned. And things beginning to get a little more action-packed, and this is what we anticipated. I think I'm actually a little surprised, as you were, that Na'Vi took this long to really start trying to break this map open a little bit, but VirtusPro so far continues to hold the lead. At 13 minutes in, we can see they have about a 1,500 gold lead, give or take. The experience, though, right about even, and that's okay so far as it goes. It's the next 10 to 15 minutes that are going to be crucial, as you said, with the build they've decided to go with their Naga Siren. Yep, she has gotten the Relic, and really not that far away from finishing off the Radiance in Toto. They just need to keep her safe and keep this map stable for the next 10 to 15 minutes to be in a good position. So Na'Vi, really the team with the gun against their head. They need to make things happen. Funnick will be level 6 with one more creep death. At that point, it's going to be all words go, I do believe.
Yeah, once this Radiance is up on Naga Siren, he becomes really, really deadly. After that, you'll probably see Boots of Travel, which allows you to increase the split push even more, which is where Coddle is going to come into play. They do have some ways to address split push. With the Clockwork, he's a great hero to actually shut down Naga Siren, because if you can hit that hook shot on the Naga hero and not one of the illusions, you can actually trap her inside of those cogs and keep her from being able to use Song of Siren because of that battery assault. Song of Siren has a long enough animation that you can't actually get it off thanks to battery assault. So if he's going to be Funnick's hooks and his movement around the map are going to be crucial for being able to stop some of the split pushing. But Na'Vi, they grouped up really early on at that top area at the 10-minute mark to be able to take down one of the tier 1s, and it looks like they're going to do the same at this bottom lane where they're actually smoked up and invading the enemy jungle.
Illidan, little low on mana, has enough for a song. Smoking into the jungle, as you said. Jodam could be a target if he ends up making his way over. They already have a ward down as well. And, yep, even dropping a sentry down into the hard camp. Up here we can see Dindy showing his face along with Funnick, trying to provoke a reaction. God's still kind of hanging out in mid. He could be quite an appetizing target. Of course, Smile being left alone for the moment as well, so he's getting some much-needed gold. Drums the build on the Invoker, and yeah, they're going to go ahead and just back out. Not liking the way it felt. No early targets. Puppy heading there. Now in mid, they might make a run, but God going to be able to get back as well. Now Illidan, again, little low on mana, has just enough. Nope, doesn't have enough for a Song of the Siren. Now AA ulti will be there on Havos. But it looks like, yeah, they're going to take a run at the tower. It's just a smidge out of deny range. But with this early Radiance, this makes it a little more difficult for them to hang around. You can already see how much health is being burned off of Havos every second.
Yeah, I mean, with a big tanky hero like a Lifestealer is having issues already, you know you're in some serious trouble. Like the Radiance and the Ancient Apparition Ultimate coming into play is really, really good damage over time. That pretty much kills a whole entire team fight. Like if they get a good AA ult, the team fight to initiate, the team fight's over. Like, Na'Vi have to just back away, which then that Radiance Burn comes into play where you just keep on pursuing, keep on trying to get in that extra bit of damage to make them shatter. So this is, I like the way VirtusPro are playing this, though. They realize that this is the time for Na'Vi's aggression. You can see they're not actually showing up in lanes very often. They're primarily utilizing their jungle and staying pretty grouped up. So if somebody does smoke gank and attempt to kill Illidan or attempt to go bottom gank maybe the Ancient Apparition or something like that, they will have a response somewhere nearby.
Some key items coming out. As mentioned, there's the Midas just now finished on Smile. Saw that he had that on the way to him. Illidan with that early Radiance. That's nice. The Armlet, though, already out on Havos. We can see that AA picking up the point booster, most likely on his way to a Scepter and wanting to upgrade his offensive potential. But at this point, I mean, like you said, it comes down to what Na'Vi can do and when they want to hit that timing window. Havos has already got another 2,200 gold banked away, so in terms of his gold gain, in fact, we can take a look. His GPM is nearly 100 higher than Naga Sirens right now, and we just saw our great stat man Nahaz point out that this is the first time in 8 months that a Naga Siren has, oh wow, solo kill on Keeper of the Light as God just flat out spotted him and is now going to be happy to get out of the way. But it's the first time we've seen a Naga Siren get a Radiance out this quick in a long, long time. And yeah, I really want to see how Na'Vi decides to play this out. And so far, really, VirtusPro has done an excellent job dodging any fights Na'Vi wants to take.
Yeah, the biggest critique I've always had with teams dealing with the Naga Siren Radiance is that the moment it's up, they don't immediately start grouping up and trying to force down towers and smoking up and trying to get those ganks that will allow you a numbers advantage to push in. That's always been my biggest concern. But Na'Vi, they obviously are well-versed in what to do with the Naga Siren Radiance. They have their own ideas how to deal with it, and I'm very, very interested in how they play this because they're playing pretty passive right now. And I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, they smoke ganked a couple times and haven't really found what they needed, but they still aren't really trying to push in. Here comes another smoke gank. Na'Vi are going to try and bait out Dendi a little bit, but also invade that enemy jungle. And again, seeing if maybe they can catch out Jotum, who's right now counter-warding.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, right now, let's see, Funnick might try to take a shot at a hook. Yep, there he's going to be spotted. Trouble for Jotum. And he's going to be telekinesis. There's the hook. A little unnecessary, as I'm pretty sure they could have blown him up to begin with. Disruption will buy some time, but delays the inevitable. And Funnick actually ate the ulti before anything else happened. Here comes God rotating through the jungle. AA ulti will connect and hit the Clockwork Goblin. God's there, gets the Waning Rift off. Funnick getting a lot of damage. He's picked off. The coil went down and got two as well. EMP will connect. It's phase shifted by God. Smile, though, not quite as fortunate. No mana and Cold Snap below that. The fight continues to rage. Illidan, though, wanting to put a stop to it as he pops Song of the Siren. God able to jaunt away back to the safety of the lane. At the end, it ends up with Na'Vi gaining ground. Make it 6-4 now. They continue to maintain control of this jungle and very likely to take an attempt at pushing this lane.
Yeah, I mean, it was a decent trade there for Na'Vi. It's just, I'm not sure if it's really enough. Like, unless they really make like a 4-for-2 trade or something like that, I'm not really liking what's happening here because at the end, it just means the game is just drawn out even more. Like, off of that little bit of skirmish, they don't get to take a tier 1, and that's the biggest concern for me. I think they really need to be taking down some of these towers and limiting the map control from VirtusPro and start working towards those big objectives. And that skirmish did not do it for them. Just the Radiance by itself. They need they need like 4 heroes at least to be able to push into tier 1 tower. They need some sort of big numbers advantage because otherwise you just get pretty much chased away by just the possibility of the Furion and Ancient Apparition combo plus the Radiance Burn. It's a lot of harassment that you pretty much have no control over where it's going to come from.
Well, it looks to me like Dendi, I mean, we haven't really seen Na'Vi put Havost to the most use as they possibly can. They just don't have a good method for him to get into fights right now. But with Dendi's build being so speed-oriented, phase boots, drums, and now a 4-staff coming in, I suspect that's going to be the direction they want to move with it looking ahead. They have yet to abandon this bottom lane. It looks like VirtusPro continuing to be happy to dodge fights, instead trying to occupy the top side of the dire side jungle. But yeah, we're actually going to see Dendi go back, do a little tornado checking, and Puppey very wisely withdrawing from the fight as well. So VirtusPro continues to rat effectively. Havos, though, kind of a beast at the moment. He's sitting at just short of level 14, has 4,400 gold, almost 4,500 gold in his inventory now. So he'll be picking up another big item very soon, especially with the help from that tower gold in bottom lane.
Yeah, they do finally take a tier 1, but at the same time, we do have a little bit of split pushing that was going on. We already had Naga Siren back up, but they were just trying to find a pick off and trying to turn that into a tier 1, but they're playing really defensively. They know they can give up tier 1s here and there. They just need it to be able to buy time. So if Na'Vi get really aggressive, you'll see them try and fight with the Song of Siren as the initiation into the Ancient Apparition and Furion combo, and then Puck comes in with his nukes as well. So it's a good way to be able to fight 5-on-5s, but for the most part, these smaller engagements, they're going to stay away from. It's only if Na'Vi gets super aggressive and try and end this game early that you may see them try and stand up against that.
And it looks like I thought Na'Vi was just going to continue to do what they were doing, and I love it. They're going to go ahead and try to take the tier 1 mid, and at best they'll hope for a deny here. Don't even know that. Nope, not going to happen. And Dindy's there, brought in by Puppey. There's the Tornado EMP. Jotem once again blown to pieces, and the reaction slow in coming. Naga Siren has to vacate the safe corner of her jungle. But I was going to point out what Navi's doing right now that is so smart is taking away that huge Radiance Naga Siren advantage you pointed out. Being able to farm the jungle so effectively, well, if there's no jungle to farm because it's occupied by enemy heroes, all of a sudden that farm rate gets a little slower. And we can see that reflected in the net worth right now as she trails about 2,500 gold, about half of a big item on Havos at the moment. So, and Na'Vi doing a great job of just keeping the pressure up and not letting VirtusPro feel comfortable taking this game as late as they would like.
Yeah, you know, I was getting more and more concerned, but now Na'Vi have really turned it on. And it's only 22 minutes in. It feels like it's been longer just because this Radiance was picked up so early that it feels like the game, this Radiance timing is just like, oh, we've been 5 minutes since that Radiance was picked up, and that's a really long time. But Na'Vi are beginning to try and shut down the VirtusPro, like you said, cleaning up the jungle as much as possible. And honestly, the Tornado EMP is dangerous enough that it actually forced Illidan away from split pushing as aggressively as he would like to. He wants to really be able to try and force down tier 2s, but he knows that if he just gets caught out by the Tornado EMP, he's not a very tanky hero right now. He excels at just being able to split push and harass, not actively force engagements. But it looks like Puppey's going to get picked off.
Yep, up at top, we actually saw God make a masterful escape, and now Puppey says, nope, I can't blink, I don't have phase shift, and I'm pretty dead. 23 minutes in, Abyssal done on Havost. He is a giant, sitting right now on minus phase boots, armlet, and Abyssal, hitting for 236 damage without the armlet turned on. When it is turned on, he's up in the neighborhood of 300. Now, to put that in perspective, he 3-shots Ancient Apparition at that rate. When you look at Nature's Prophet, even worse. So in terms of his ability to just blow heroes up with pure physical damage, that's now not just a possibility, it is exactly what's going to happen if they're out of position at all.
Oh, God actually jumps in on Havos. This is questionable.
Yep. There's the Abyssal shown off. The Demonic Purge slows him down. He's going to continue to try and bang away. Nice disruption to save him some time. Look at him just go one-on-one with his whole team. We're going to see immediately the Prophets down. Infest to the north. NS will be able to make it away short of the Tornado. And Jotem and God able to scurry away. But yeah, that was basically him engaging into 3/5 of VirtusPro and not caring. Got hit with, honestly, a spell that hard counters him as best as any spell in the game does. In that Demonic Purge, and still not enough. That's how far ahead he is right now.
Yeah, that was something that while Havos may be very, very big and he can easily kill heroes if he can get onto them, he's going to have a hard time when it comes to that because he really needs the initiation from his team. He needs that Tornado EMP. He needs that hook shot to land. Otherwise, he's just going to get kited around by Ensnare and that Demonic Purge, which really holds him up. So he may be the heaviest hitter in the game, but he has to have that initiation from Na'Vi to make sure he can actually get on those heroes. Top, though, we got some action.
Yep, we're going to see Jotem being pursued out. Havos has a haste and was unable to track down Illidan in the bottom lane. Now trying to buy some time with a disruption. And yeah, not a whole lot of time bought as he falls very quickly. 7-7. It's a relatively quiet game kill-wise. Only 14 across the whole board. That could change here in mid, though. Illidan engaged upon Dindy. looked like he was going to be facing a reprisal, but as it stands, looks like Smile opting to go elsewhere. Puppey and Avos going to get eyes on Illidan, who's at below half health. Already has a Reaver, but God there just to harass them. Heard a hook miss, and it sounds like that might have been shot at Illidan, but unable to connect. God and NS teleports away. God making his way into the bottom lane. Havost standing there. This is the third time we've seen him chase God like this, and just frustrating as hell trying to track down a skillfully played puck. And really, God's puck is one of the best in the business.
Yeah, so far, VirtusPro are doing a good job limiting their losses. Like, yes, the support will get picked off here and there, but they're always getting something in return. They always have the Naga Siren pushing somewhere else. They always have their cores being able to survive the engagement for the most part. So they are getting more items on their big cores, and that's the important thing. And as long as Na'Vi aren't securing objectives, and that's the thing, like Na'Vi, they're getting really, really close to picking off these cores, but they have a hard time taking tier 2s just yet. With this Radiant still up. Now we're seeing Naga Siren build into some of that tank. We have the Boots of Travel after the Radiance, which makes you very, very squishy in a lot of these team fights if you get caught out. But now immediately into the heart to be able to make up for some of that. And this will turn Naga Siren into a hero that can actually team fight a little bit more effectively, but also makes those illusions much harder to deal with on the Na'Vi side. Now you can't just simply rely on an Illuminate Blast just to be able to clear through those illusions real quickly. These supports can't deal with the split push, so now it's going to actually be cores that have to deal with that. And that's the beginning of the end for Na'Vi. Now they still have a lot of time, a good 10 minutes I would say, before VirtusPro is really a big threat. But they're going to try and speed it up a little bit with the Roshan.
Yep, they were spotted coming in. Ward's very well placed by VirtusPro. God's in there and not going to be able to snatch it. Invoker able to get out. Havos is actually going to end up dead. They're going to chase down Dindy, but with Puppey's support on the high ground, as well as KKY showing his face in lane. That's a bit of a missed opportunity. VP a little slow to react. They wanted to go in en masse. And, yeah, if God had gotten there maybe a second and a half earlier, he might have had a chance to snatch that Aegis away. As it stands, though, big win for Na'Vi. They're trailing in kills, but when you look at the goal graph, you can see they're heavily in favor of that metric at the very least, leading by about 7,500 gold. The experience right in the same neighborhood. Now, the supports on the side of VirtusPro are pretty damn starved. And if there's any issue that I really worry about, it's Illidan is like you said, he's doing fine. He's on his way to a hard. He's really not far away from it now, but he is not getting ahead of the Lifestealer. You get an early Radiance. We haven't seen them try to fight. This has mostly been Rat Dota, just trying to dodge fights, split push, do what you can, avoid mistakes. That's fine if you're getting an advantage. But the truth is, when you look at every graph, the longer this game goes, the bigger an advantage Na'Vi has been able to generate. So even if they're able to turn that around, they still have a decent amount of ground to make up. And I really like the item choices out from Na'Vi as well. Funnick picking up the pipe makes so much sense against this team, and especially against just what they're relying on to carry them through this mid-game phase if they are caught out and are forced to fight in a 4-on-4 or a 5-on-5.
Yeah, I think that was a smart decision there. I was actually expecting maybe an early blade mail, but he probably didn't feel that he gained enough of an advantage early on in the laning phase to be able to pick that up. It's a controversial item on Clockwork. Some players absolutely hate it. Some will say it's worth it if you could just pick it up early enough. And against Naga Siren, it's pretty effective, but we have yet to see. Blade mail wouldn't have actually done anything because Clockwork has yet to actually pick off Illidan. And maybe he'll find his opportunity, but he has no backup right now. The two supports have already finished up and gone into their jungle. They're trying to clear through the stacks before Naga Siren can get to them, but in the end, they're just going to end up splitting a lot of this gold. It's just wasted time at this point in time. They may be ahead in gold, and they are. It's very, very impressive that Havos has stayed so far ahead. Even with the Midas, it's still impressive that he's ahead of the Naga Siren, considering that Radiance has been up for so long. But at the same time, Naga Siren's going to be able to utilize that amount of gold much better than a Lifestealer would. I mean, Lifestealers are great carry, but he falls off a little bit in the late game comparing to other carries. That at the very least, he's like at the end game, he's more of an anti-carry in the fact that he picks up a Basher and he just tries to lock onto that one hero, hold them in place, and allow Feast to be able to do some of its damage. But I still say that when it comes to those 5-on-5 team fights, Naga Siren has a big advantage, even if she's down a couple of K gold.
Oh, yeah. The X factor being, and we see this is even being improved upon, very important item out for VirtusPro, the Scythe of Vice just completed on God, and his ability to get that off on Avos is going to determine so much of these fights, but having two lockdown abilities that go through Magic community. Really a nice draft from VirtusPro in that regard. We talked about it during the laning phase, but this is where Ensnare really comes into its own, being able to, as you said, kite out the Lifestealer while he's raged out, make him engage in ways that are not comfortable for him. And then you combine that with Demonic Purge. Once the Ensnare is off, you purge him. Make sure that even if he is able to move, he's only able to move very, very slowly and unable to get on the targets he opts for. So, I mean, what it's coming down to in a lot of ways is who's gonna be getting the jump on who? Is it going to be Funnick with his hook, or is it going to be Puck with his blink? And really, these are fights that I think we can see go either way. The longer these fights drag out, VirtusPro gains an advantage, so they have every incentive to make these fights last long, while Na'Vi is going to be relying on burst and the ability to just get the jump on VP. So position and vision in particular, all the more important as we cross 30 minutes now.
Yeah, now VirtusPro are going to be able to finish off the last Tier 1 tower with God picking up that double damage rune. Hopefully the creeps will be able to pick it up, because we actually have Puppey coming in looking at the deny, but isn't going to be able to get it. And God gets away from the rotation that Na'Vi were making. I like the fact that Puppey is trying to make, well, Jotum in a little bit of trouble here. He's going to go down. That disruption just buys you a second.
Yep. 3-shotted, as we saw Vos just go to town. Up at top, though, Illidan doing some work on this top tower, and we can see here in mid, Na'Vi having a handful of a time dealing with the burn damage coming off of the Radiance. Funnick's there to try and help out. Another big item out for Havost, and he's about as big and badass as he's going to want to get. They need to put him to use, but again, it's not that they're failing to do so. It's more like VirtusPro is playing so well. We see Smiles already picked himself up in Ultimate Orb as well, so potential for 2 Sides of Vice. And, you know, these are just really smart item choices. They're very clear-cut, nothing too super creative, but just getting them out at a good clip, making up for the fact that you have 2 relatively underfarmed supports in Jotum and the Ancient Apparition played by NS. NS is honestly, though, about 3/4 of the way done with his Scepter now, so that's going to be coming out at a fairly okay time, given he's next to last in terms of overall net worth.
Yeah, when you compare Aghanim Scepters, that is probably one of the biggest upgrades when it comes to Ancient Apparition. Just the timing. Late game, as you start going into late game, that percentage of health and being able to last so long, 17 seconds of a team fight, if you go below 12% of your health, you're dead. Like, taking away 12% of just 2 or 3 heroes' health can easily win you in team fights. So that is going to be a huge upgrade as in comparison to Rubik and Kuroki's early Aghanim Scepter. If he can steal the right abilities, maybe.
Oh, Dindy. Havost comes in to clean up shop. That could have been very ugly, but some very fast reactions got them out of trouble. Dindy's Force Staff, there's the Tornado to spot him out, and he will be brought down. We just saw that fight was basically won not just by Havost being on the hero he is, but his ability to just flat blow people up. Dindy walked up into what had to be about as bad a situation as you could ever ask for. Coming uphill right into a Scythe of Ice. Did have Havost on board, but he took so much damage so quickly, but it didn't matter. Havost swiped 3 times, and we saw the puck liquefied. So, yeah, Na'Vi getting the most out of all of the priority they've given to Havost. And as you mentioned, his ability to stay ahead, and not just stay ahead, but continue to gain ground on Illidan's Naga Siren, as she's now about 3,000, no, check that, 4,000 gold behind Havost's overall net worth. That's a team effort. That's not just Havost farming better as an individual, as we've seen them do all game, taking away jungles as much as they can, clearing out creep camps just as they spawn, just to take them away from Illidan, and it is making a difference, but we've yet to see one marquee engagement. Only 18 kills in a 33-minute game, and Illidan could have been in trouble there as Havost came in via the Puppey Express. Clockwork sitting down. Oh, nice hook. They caught him finally. He's cogged in. Let's see if Havost can come in and clean up. Funnick could be in trouble. Nope. Nice sprout, though. Actually might give Illidan a chance to get out. NS is likely to drop here with 1 shot, but no, Havost caught with a Scythe of Ice, and now turned around and Funnick caught with a coil, and he's going to end up dead as well. That's a 3-for-0 exchange, and that's as, oh wow, Dindy actually manages to find a kill on Jotum behind the fight, but now has to run for it. But a 3-for-1 exchange, they still might be able to catch him. Nope. Ensnare wasn't ready. Nope, just wasn't quick enough on it. But 11-11 as the dust settles. However, Na'Vi walked into a lot of trouble there. It looked like Funnick was actually going to be able to catch out Illidan for the first time, but instead, a big win for VP.
Yeah, really good plays on both sides. I mean, first of all, it's one of the most interesting types of engagements I've ever seen. Keeper of the Light picking up a Blink Dagger, recalling the Lifestealer, and then blinking on top of Illidan like that in order to try and get the initiation. But they were able to spy it out. Good Song of Siren. Funnick had a beautiful play coming in from behind, but it all came down to Smile and his absolutely beautiful Sprout that was able to save Illidan long enough for them to kind of disengage, and then came in those big disables, the Scythe of Ice, the Ensnare, those sort of things came into play. And Lifestealer, once he has that Rage down, first of all, like, Rage isn't going to protect you against Ensnare, but second of all, that Rage only lasts so long that then you get the Scythe of Ice coming in, and then you really start kiting around that Lifestealer. So it goes to show how important initiation is. And VP have very, very good ways of being able to disengage. Shadow Demon and the Ensnare coming out from Illidan, as well as the ultimate, like, those are two of the top-notch abilities to be able to disengage from a team fight.
Yeah, and then we saw in practice exactly what we've been talking about all game. The longer these fights are drawn out, the bigger a chance VirtusPro has to turn them, whether they have the advantage or not. Roche does respawn after a relatively short respawn. Puppey actually blinks in an odd direction, and that's going to force God to move elsewhere as he was Mana League. Puppey trying to recall in help, but Smile's going to be walking into a trap if he's not very careful. And Puppey caught out before any help could arrive, unfortunately for him. Dindy's there to try and help. Missed with the tornado, so God will be able to make it away. In the meantime, no, Invoker actually did catch Nature's Prophet behind that. And now trying to get a hold of Jodam. Funnick's there with the hook. And Rubik, played by Kuroki, able to clean things up. In the meantime, Avost, another 3,300 gold tucked away in the bank. He's making a run at the tier 2 in mid. Here comes Illidan. Will throw the Ensnare. There's a Scythe of Ice as well. Could be a big kill. Will be a big kill. Havos, as well as he's played farm-wise and his positioning has been okay, he's now given up a couple of unnecessary deaths out of nothing but pure greed, and that alone is going to keep VirtusPro around. And we can see, not just keep him around, hell, at this point, Naga has closed that gap hugely, now only about 1,600 gold behind instead of 4,000.
Yeah, he's looking really, really good. I mean, that was, I think what happened there is Puppey was attempting to bring in Havos just like he did last time, but Havos actually took a bit of damage, and that recall ended up failing, and that's why you saw Puppey do that really interesting blink where he tried to actually go aggressively. Still turned out okay because Na'Vi were able to rally the troops and come and avenge Puppey, but it's still, VirtusPro still delaying. It's not the big team fight that Na'Vi are really looking for. And again, like, once they had that AC Abyssal, like, that's pretty much the top of Lifestealer is going to get. Like, you can pick up some additional items, but really that's the height of power for a Lifestealer, and he starts dropping off in comparison to other carries after that point in time. And Na'Vi, you saw them looking around, trying to force fights, trying to get those pickoffs that would allow them to go uphill with that minus armor coming into play, and they just haven't found it. VP are just doing too good of a job staying pretty much 2 steps ahead of Na'Vi every single time, or at least on their course. Sure, their supports get picked off, but that's not enough of an advantage to be able to go uphill against VirtusPro.
I'll tell you something they have done just a phenomenal job with this entire game is vision. Between wards, between using Smile's treants to keep an eye on things, and any time Na'Vi has tried to move, tried to catch them unawares, be it a Naga illusion, again, be it a treant, they just know what's going on. And they're able to keep this game, again, relatively quiet. 26 kills in a 40-minute game of Dota, especially with a Lifestealer on the map, you know, and aggressive heroes like Invoker and Clockwork. That's really, really low, and that is working to their advantage. Now the AA ulti's going to come in. That's going to catch a Vos, and he's hurting. Funnick's right there, the Radiance Burn from the Naga Illusions doing its work, and Havos has to invest into Funnick, who actually had to pop a pipe just to make sure they can make it away safely. And this is, again, just beautiful management of the map with VirtusPro being aware of everything that's going on. Roche still really high in health, and now they might think about taking this, especially if Song of the Siren's off cooldown, and it is level 3, which means that's available every 60 seconds for them now.
Yeah, and with the Furion and the Puck being able to do a decent amount of damage right now, Puck has a double damage. Illidan doesn't actually have to go into the pit and doesn't have to worry about maybe Funnick catching him out and keeping up that battery assault. But they're thinking about it.
Dindy, if they do get him. That's a huge kill for them. Let's see if he has buyback. He does not. He is unable to buy back. They're going to have such a hard time trying to fight. They cannot fight if they lose Funnick. Funnick going to be ensnared, caught with the coil, Smiles there. And Na'Vi is flat out being outmaneuvered at this point. They're forced to scatter. That's going to be a free Aegis. Smiles actually just going to TP out. But yeah, free Aegis, no way for Na'Vi to even try to contest this. And this is bad news, man. With that, I would not be shocked. Yeah, exactly. At that, the net worth has now turned in favor of Naga Siren for the first time this game. And Illidan even using Song of the Siren to guarantee there'll be no snatch and grabs. There you go. Able to make it away. What a turnaround. If you take a look at the goal graph, they have cut down on the lead that Na'Vi had built to this point by 7,500 gold. It's one thing to be able to stop the bleeding. It's another to inflict grievous wounds on the enemy.
Yeah, Na'Vi are now definitely struggling to be able to maintain map control here and there. This Naga Siren split push coming out constantly. I mean, it was a beautiful thing, the fact that Illidan never went into the Rosh pit. They didn't get too greedy with their attempt to try and take Roshan like that, and Dendi took the bait. He thought he was going to be able to hit that big tornado EMP from behind, and Funnick would be able to follow up, but it actually was that VirtusPro were just not actually in that position, and that all comes down to lack of vision and this really good ward that was able to see Dendi coming in from the side. So now VirtusPro going to continue this, smoke up and try and find more.
Havos caught with a scythe. NS was actually hit as well. He needs to be careful. He'll get blown up, but nope, not as quickly as they're able to bring down Havos. That's going to make it 16-13. Here comes Dendi, wanting to get a little bit of payback behind that. Funnick with him as well, but yeah, they just can't play that aggressive anymore. And with 4,600 gold tucked away on the side for Illidan, a fresh Aegis in his inventory, he is getting so big so quickly. Havost, who looked like he was going to be able to man mode the entire team at one point, just is not feeling as scary as he did even 10 minutes ago.
And I love this E-Blade picked up by Puck. Not only does it add in extra bit of damage to what Puck usually drops off at this point in time because you're pure nuking damage, the biggest thing that Puck usually has this late game is a Scythe of Vice, and that's really your only addition to team fights because most of your spells are not all that useful. However, he's still incredibly good versus Lifestealer because you Scythe of Vice him. Oh, bottom, though. We're going to find another pickoff for VirtusPro.
And there again, Song of the Siren, he actually stole it. And, yep, Kuroki, cheeky little Rubik, stole it from him. And Song of the Siren is one of the easier big ultimates to steal. He may end up paying the price, but at the very least save Dendi's life. And, yeah, he will drop. So not a complete... Oh, he actually lost a gem. I didn't even notice he was carrying a gem. That's a pretty big deal in and of itself. But, yeah, I mean, Naga Siren's ultimate, one of the easier ones to steal because it does have to be channeled. You do have to deactivate it. And if you're not paying a lot of attention and you're not making sure you use something else, that will happen. But nonetheless, they get a pick, and they're going to get most likely a tier 2 out of this by the time all's said and done.
Yeah, Dendi's just trying to delay it with the Tornado EMP, but when everyone dodges that ability, you have nothing else to be able to follow that up with. And now VirtusPro just going to be able to take the tier 2, or at least should be, with no problem whatsoever. Dendi actually in some serious trouble. Oh. That E-Blade almost held him up long enough for the Ancient Apparition ultimate to go in and pick him off. But that E-Blade, not only is it really good offensive pickup from God, but also extremely defensive at being able to save allies. That's probably a bigger idea of the E-Blade here for this game in particular because you're dealing with a hard carry life stealer. So E-Blade being able to save some of those allies and be able to make them ethereal is going to be a big part of these upcoming team fights.
We can even see Shadow Demon, as you had mentioned, so far as making them ethereal. He's picked up a Ghost Scepter as well. So in terms of, I mean, the item pickups, this has just been a masterfully played game by VP. I mean, Na'Vi looked so good early, and it's not that they've necessarily failed at anything. It's just VirtusPro has done such a good job of not allowing them to capitalize on anything. Again, vision in particular, their item choice is very smart. I mean, Na'Vi's certainly not out of this by any stretch. Don't mistake that for a moment. I mean, Naga Siren, as big as she gets, is still going to be susceptible to initiation advantage from Na'Vi. But VirtusPro, I mean, we'll take a look at the metrics. Yeah, I was going to say, I think, yeah, VirtusPro has turned this around. They have a gold lead for the first time in more than 30 minutes, now up to just about 5,000, which is nothing at this stage of the game. But what's really important is what they've been able to do in terms of turning around that massive mid-game gold lead Na'Vi had built.
Yeah, Furion right now, Smiles going behind Puppy, and that's going to be pretty much a free pick-off if you could just get some other follow-up, and they're just waiting for Puck to get there.
Oh, there's the Scythe of Ice used, and Dindy's going to be there, and here comes God trying to turn it around. Puppy 4 staffs away. The coils actually missed. There is a missed tornado as well. God going to be telekinesis back, able to phase shift and try to get away. In the meantime, Illidan bringing in the magic damage from the back of the fight. Jodam gets off. The demonic purge on the Dindy, still slowed even though he popped the BKB. Ice Wall goes down. Smile pecking away at Puppey, who's still up and in this fight. Somehow AA ultimate will be there, but unable to connect on through the magic immunity. Oh no, it actually did. Check that. The Ghost walked confused me right there. But in the meantime, Jodam tracked down into the woods. Buyback was necessary from Smile. And they did lose one. However, here comes Illidan back in. Funnick going to end up cleaned up, and Havos could be in trouble. Going to try to bring down Smile again. No. Able to go in, Viz, and Illidan, right there to help things out with the Scythe of Ice and Smile, using the Shadow Blade to keep himself safe and extend that fight. Again, the more they elongate these fights, even the small engagements, the bigger their advantage, and they are doing an amazing job of putting that to use here in these late game minutes.
Yep, that was perfect. God using the E-Blade like that to be able to save the Furion was a beautiful play, and even that Sunstrike coming in from Dendy almost was able to pick off Smile, but everything that Na'Vi does, they seem so close to be able to actually win the team fights, especially early on. You saw these pickoffs, and it was like, that's close, but it's not quite enough. Yeah, we grabbed 2 supports, but that's not quite enough. It feels like that's the whole mantra of this game, that Na'Vi are doing wonderful things, and I think they played this really, really smart way to deal with Naga Siren, hard carry that goes into Radiance like this, but it hasn't been just quite enough. They haven't found the pickoffs. They just haven't quite been able to win the team fights. They've always been just a little bit behind, and VirtusPro are staying slightly ahead every single time, and it's just pushing this game longer and longer. Now we have a butterfly picked up by Illidan. We saw so many big items picked up by VirtusPro in the last few minutes that pretty much Illidan is unstoppable at this point in time, and you don't really see anything that's going to be picked up by Na'Vi that is going to change the game for them. They already have their big items up on Lifestealer. He doesn't get much bigger than that. He just add in extra damage, but that doesn't change the fact that he's still a hero that is easily kited around after Rage is done. Even once Rage is up, they've got the Ensnare, and once it's down, they've got so many disables to be able to deal with him that, yes, he's a great single target, but this is why he falls off in the late game, that you can have all the damage in the world and take someone one-on-one, but Dota is not a one-on-one game. It's a 5v5, and disables are coming into play, and at the end of the day, Lifestealer, you may see him not even be able to put in any damage without a solid initiation from Clockwork.
This is one of the Dindy, actually, under cover of QQ Walk. Was slept, and it looks like they're trying to track down Illidan. Illidan's Song of the Siren does wear off. They do catch him with a Scythe of Ice and a Mana Leak. AA ulti's going to be ahead of the fight. Illidan caught with it and should be brought down. That's huge. A gigantic kill, very desperately needed. And we actually saw that was a well-executed fight, as well-executed as they could have asked for, really. Just being able to pick him off, get him off the map, and now it becomes an issue of how can they capitalize positionally. And as you said, with the Naga Siren being as big as she is, you take a look at Havost. Havost right now, certainly nowhere near an MKB. With the butterfly up on Naga, that's a problem in and of itself. This is a game that if they want to try and eke out a win, is going to have to come down to plays like that. And it's a good start, but still a long way to go for them.
Yeah, Kuro's doing a really good job. Stealing the Ancient Apparition ultimate was huge, and now he has the Song of Siren as well. So that he's doing a really good job as a support, but there's only so much they can do. Like, again, they finally pick off the Naga Siren for the first time in the game. Guess what? It's still not enough. Like, it would have been 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago. Picking up the Naga Siren by itself would have given you enough of an advantage to actually push in and take tier 2s and start clearing objectives. But it's too late in the game. Now we have VirtusPro who are controlling the map so heavily, but by the time Na'Vi get there to an objective, it's already Naga Siren backup, and you're already being threatened in some of these side lanes with Jodam pushing in. They do have this bit of a surprise factor, and I like this. They're trying to bait out VirtusPro into Dendy with Havos just sitting inside.
And here comes the TP. Illidan's there. Using Song of the Siren. TP coming in. Let's see if they've got the damage. Puppey's right there. BKB's going to be popped. Kuroki's there, and he uses Song of the Siren himself. We can see Smile already caught out. Looks like they may not want to take this fight. They're going to isolate God, though, and go ahead and blow him up. They've got the cogs down to cut the fight in half. Ice Wall laid down to secure a retreat as well. Don't know if they want to retreat. God bought back, wanting to re-engage. Funnick now going to end up paying the price for it as he ends up dropping. Havos trying to get on his target. Can't do so. Another good sprout from Smile. What did Kuroki get? Managed to get Coil and managed to catch 3. But that's just going to be an escape mechanism for Na'Vi right now. And they did manage to get one pick off, and it ended up costing them Funnick as well. They did force a buyback, however. Now, Roshan becomes more important than ever. Another short respawn timer. He's up in just 15 seconds. And again, vision, initiation advantage, and flat-out playmaking is going to be what they have to have.
Honestly, that was such a beautiful engagement that the only really terrible thing is that you just wish that Dendi hadn't blown the BKB. Again, communication is a big factor in those team fights, and it's hard to be able to actually get out what's going to happen. But Kuro, with stealing the Song of Siren, set themselves up beautifully for being able to pick up God, and Funnick had the most beautiful play of all, throwing this Cogs that pretty much blocked out everyone. Not only did it hit God and immediately ensured that he was disabled the moment Song of Siren was down, but it also made sure that nobody could really pursue. And then they had this clutch area where VirtusPro were trying to go up, but they were dealing with all Ice Wall. They were dealing with EMP. They had to deal with all these AoE spells that really is the only reason Na'Vi did not get crushed in that team fight. The fact that VirtusPro were still able to pretty much win the team fight, the buyback from God was forced, but still, it was a bad situation that they fought their way out of, and that's just a really bad sign that they were able to do that. Na'Vi still can't quite end the game, despite the fact that that was pretty much one of the best engagements they're going to find.
And they're continuing to try and hold the line here. We can see some pressure continues to be applied by Illidan and God. Dendi still has Havost as a passenger. We can see Havost is all but abandoned, just flat-out farming at this point, as you talked about. There's only so big a lifestealer is going to get. And he pretty much hit that point of critical mass. And, you know, it looks like Illidan's still hanging around. He's got Song of the Siren available if he wants it, just continuing to use these illusions to keep this lane pushed. The Tier 3 is already missing here, as Puppey did decide to deny it right before that fight in mid broke out. But Illidan will be able to get away, smile, now showing his own face. Going to follow those in, and using the Shadow Blade. Here comes the Invoker. Does have the gem, and will spot him. Their Scythe device. That's going to be a very nice kill for them to pick up. And they're getting Havost his kills now. He's finally back to an even box score at 5, 5, and 7, but he was way behind in that regard. At one point was sitting at something like 2 and 5, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, we just haven't seen the effectiveness out of him during that timing window we knew they had to hit. They're finally getting him involved, but this is something that should have been happening a while ago. They just have to play uphill a little bit now. VirtusPro maintains a gold lead. The experience still quite a bit in favor of Na'Vi, but again, just the strength of the Naga Siren itself means Na'Vi has to play so much more carefully and so much tighter than they would otherwise if they had been able to execute these same maneuvers 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, right now, VirtusPro, Na'Vi are trying to take the only thing that could give them an advantage, which is Roshan. The Aegis and the Cheese, maybe that's enough an advantage that you can actually win a team fight convincingly enough. But at this point in time, like the later the game goes, you already see how the range racks is very, very low at this top lane. They've been able to just kind of slowly but surely siege down these towers and are now working on that range racks, which can't regen.
And we can see the Radiance Burn zoning Na'Vi off. But that's an excellent point. I mean, when you talk about prioritizing the ranged racks over the melee racks, it's already down to only 228 HP. And really, you know, it's one of those things, it's a lot of small factors, but losing that last bit of map control could end up being the straw that breaks Na'Vi's back if they're unable to take Roshan here. Right now, there's no heavy contesting going on, and Funnick even coming down into the pit. And it looks like VirtusPro actually is okay with this. They're backing off. Illidan's nowhere to be found. Yeah, they knew that was going on. They had eyes on it the whole time. Instead, opting to just give that away. And Funnick, who did pick up his scepter, though, he's going to be again. And this has been true for a while. We haven't seen him make the plays he needs to, sitting at 3, 6, and 5. His hooks have been there a few times, but for the most part, he hasn't been that big, scary clockwork you usually want in a game like this. We're getting near an hour into this game. He has to be a huge factor moving forward.
You know, I like how this game has been so static that you even have some of the supports picking up their really late game items. Like you have Puppey, who has a Reaver. Like I'm not really convinced about that item, but at the same time, you know, it's an interesting idea. Just massing up on the tank, I still think like maybe a Ghost Scepter would be a little bit better, but he does have to deal with a lot of nukes as well. So he feels that flat base HP is going to be the best way for him to go, and he's doing a really good job with the Boots of Travel and just keeping some of this split push back. But honestly, like Keeper of the Light, it's past the point in time where he can deal with the Naga Siren or the Furion split push. It is seen by the fact that his tier 3 tower went down at top. He just can't deal with it all. I like the fact that Dendi and Havost again, are doing so much with this Ghost Walk. Like, they're constantly trying to move around the map, trying to find those pickoffs. You got to be a really sad Na'Vi fanboy when the fact they were sitting over here earlier and Illidan was sitting there. And if they'd gotten that pickoff, maybe they would have had an opportunity to take map control once again and go for another tier 2 or go for a tier 3. But again, Furion is just not quite enough. And looks like they may try and find an engagement at top, but it's going to be a full 5-on-5.
Just one note on the pickup of the Reaver up. Hang on. Funnick caught out, throws down the cogs. Do they want to engage off of this? Certainly VirtusPro does. Funnick, very survivable though. Dindy comes in and helps get a kill on Jodam. Illidan forced to pop Song of the Siren. And this is a pretty big win for Na'Vi. They're going to get a gem out of it if they have someone to pick it up. As of right now, they don't. But still, just being able to thwart VirtusPro at this point. And Puppy bringing in some help. That's going to be Kuroki. He's right there with him. There's the hook in from Funnick. However, God able to make it into the corner. He's going to go ahead and throw down the coil. He is, going to have a coil used against him. And, yep, he blinks, ends up snapping, and he's up in the woods. Let's see if they can find him. Unable to chase him so far. Continuing the jump, will be able to teleport to safety. So, another masterful escape. In the meantime, behind the fight, we see the top racks has ended up dropping. Illidan spotted out by Funnick and cornered in. The EMP's going to be there as well. Trying to find a way out. No way to be found. The damage. Oh, he actually got knocked out by the cogs now. Maybe wanting to re-engage. And yeah, doing what damage he can. Havosa's going to be there to help clean him up. They only got the range racks out of that. That's 81 seconds. He's now down, and it didn't even cost them an Aegis. That's still up on Havos. So, bit of a strange set of circumstances there.
Honestly, you can't really normally talk about Keeper of the Light. Like, when you talk about support players and you like, oh yeah, Keeper of the Light is he's a really, really famed Keeper of the Light player. You know, it's just not one of those heroes you can make the big plays. But Puppy is finding the ways with this Blink Dagger. He had actually had a really beautiful juke where he started heading down this direction and jumped back. He pretty much tried to bait Furion into teleporting ahead of him and then turned around, blinked aggressively back in, and had that pull in with the Rubik being able to provide a little bit more stability, and that's what got them that pick off on God, which is a beautiful play, but again, not quite enough. Na'Vi still feeling that constant push. Immediately Naga Siren, after that engagement, went ahead and tried to push into that Rax, and sure, he got picked off, but that's still a range Rax. That's still one of the first objectives for VP. Now you're going to have that constant pressure coming in at that top lane, even if it's just range creeps.
Now, the note I was going to make about this, and this is just one of those things that a Keeper Light does contribute in big ways coming down the stretch. I mean, outside of having the mech, yeah, that's nice. You know, 4 staff can help you make a big play. But Blinding Light, whenever his ultimate is active, that's on a relatively short cooldown, 12 seconds. And we've seen these fights stretch out to 30 seconds or more. Hang on, there's a coil onto NS, and he's going to be brought down. And I'll tell you what, man, Kuroki is so just unbelievably great with Rubik. This is just a hero you don't want to give him. You know, and it's not just, it's like, oh yeah, he threw down a coil, big deal. Well, it's the fact that he's constantly had ultimates this entire game. Be it Naga Siren, be it Puck, be it AAs, etc. He has just been on point and has not only been stealing them, but making good use of them. And all of a sudden, Na'Vi is on the VirtusPro side of the map and looking pretty strong and a little bit scary.
Yeah, they are beginning to take a little bit more control of this. I can't believe that at 16 minutes in, they may actually have a chance to be able to take this game, but it's all going to come down to that one big team fight. When they try and go uphill, VirtusPro are going to let this tier 2 tower go. It's not worth the attempt at defending. Instead, they go for split push. However, they're going to force Na'Vi to go uphill against them, and that puts them in that very clutch area where they're dealing with a tier 3 tower. They're dealing with some smaller areas of the field that allow some of those AoE spells to be able to come into play and be a lot more effective. So VirtusPro, they're pretty much saying, go ahead, Na'Vi. Try and go uphill. In the meantime, we're just going to keep on farming. We're going to keep on split pushing. And if you want to try and go uphill, not only is it going to be a tough fight, but you're going to be in a bad position with all this split push.
Oh, here we go. They're going to go on God. This was really well done by them. Didn't he? Oh, he got him! Got him with the Scythe of Ice. Now they're going to blinding light him out. Coil goes down as well. And it didn't actually catch God, but he's trying to jump away. Will not be able to do so. And Kuroki has to be very careful. Now caught with the Mana Leak. This will be a big pick if they can finally track him down. He's been in this position about a dozen times this game. At least that's how it feels. Once again, going to be able to jaunt just out of that. He's that's not your base, God. God, that's not your base, bro. He's going to buy a TP scroll. I think that's where he's headed. Yep. Sorry, 30 seconds not going to be enough time. They're going to spend 20 more seconds trying to kill him. Wait and see. Yep, now he's going to jump into the woods. There you go. He's been caught with an urn charge. They've got eyes on him. He's going to phase shift again. And up, finally caught with a hook. They finally managed to track him down. But that was actually really well done the way they baited that out. The whole time you were talking and offering great insight, they were just basically trying to coax him out of those woods. They showed Puppy coming out to clear the lane. They even had him recall another target to make it look like it was like, yeah, he's bringing in help, even though Dindy was there with Havost inside. And in the end, they get a nice kill.
Yeah, that was really well done by God. The fact that he was able to, I mean, that pickoff was barely worth it because look how much map control happened after VirtusPro finally they lost the puck, but all the lanes are pushed in. All of a sudden, like Na'Vi, they can't actually capitalize on the fact that puck is down for that 80 seconds because they just have so much split push to be able to deal with. Not only do they have to push out some of these lanes, but they start pushing out, and all of a sudden VirtusPro push it right back in. It's just this constant tug of war back and forth where VirtusPro are keeping up the pressure constantly to be able to make sure that they get pretty much the max number of items that they possibly can and have all the buybacks ready to go. Smile's in some trouble, though.
Smile, caught with the tornado. Dindy right where he needed to be and blown to pieces. And he's down for a while. It's the buyback status now takes on. This is that stage of the game. You get past an hour so often. It's just about how much gold you can gain and bank for buybacks. We're going to see the Tier 2 get denied by a very cheeky Shadow Demon. But a big item out for Havost now, that MKB. Done, nullifying at least in part the effectiveness of that butterfly. That was the big deal. The fact that she finished that up before Havost even started on it. They've made up ground. He now has that. He's going to have Puppy's Blinding Light to assist him in those one-on-one battles. Has the Abyssal done as well. And, of course, the Scythe of Ice done on Dindy, too. So Scythe of Ice now really the big items in this game. Kuroki needs to continue to make plays. He's actually stolen Teleport from the Nature's Prophet this time, so he'll have a little bit of extra mobility. But again, I mean, we're at 61 and a half minutes in right now, my friend, and I honestly don't see this game ending anytime in the very immediate future. Both of these teams know just how thin a line separates victory from defeat at this point.
Yeah, it really is both teams kind of on that razor's edge where just one misplay could cost you the game. But VirtusPro are going to try and get an advantage right here by smoking up, staying together, and seeing if they can find a pickoff.
And Funnick caught out, gets down the cogs. He's going to be scythed out as well. And able to force staff to safety. Here comes the rest of Na'Vi, though. Jonam going to end up being blown up. Illidan still at the front of the fight, going to work on Puppy. Puppy's so tanky. There's the Abyssal. Illidan being pecked away at. Down below half health. Make it a quarter. Make it a death as he falls to a double kill of Havost. Kuroki shows off that freshly completed BKB. NS teleports home. God once again able to slip away, but more importantly, Naga Siren is down, does have buyback. They may end up forcing her to spend it. A 2-for-0 exchange, and Na'Vi able to just execute down the stretch, and now taking a run at the Tier 3, their first Tier 3 of the game. They're going to pop the glyph. 20 seconds till Jonam's up. If Naga's going to buy back, they need to do it right now.
Yep, finally the buyback comes out. They know they have to be able to defend this Tier 3. It leaves them too exposed for the next big team fight that if they lose, they're going to lose a Rax, and then they're far behind.
There's a Scythe of Ice on both sides. Havost caught with the ensnare following it. Dindy cleaning house with the rock dropped after the tornado. And Smile going to work on a low health Havost, but he's going to regen quite a lot doing that much damage. However, the AA ulti, the power of that with a scepter, as we had talked about during the early parts of the game, a huge factor, especially against those strength heroes, being a 12% reduction. And now, looks like they might want to charge back out. Havost is down for a long time, does have buyback of his own, but by sheer virtue of that fight taking place at the Tier 3 of VirtusPro means they're really not going to be able to gain a lot of map control out of it. This could be big for Roshan. Already up. This is going to be a fortuitous check from Na'Vi. They don't have their heavy hitter there to get it. They may go ahead and decide to bring it down and just give it to Dindy.
Yeah, they're going to try, but they have to have Havost for this team fight, and VirtusPro are going to take it otherwise.
And Kuro taking a lot of damage. There's a hook on the Smile. Kuro going to end up down. Their Song of the Siren popped as well. Smile eating a lot of damage in those cogs. Those end up cleaned up. Behind the fight, the rest of VirtusPro has to clear off. We see Havost did buy back. He's ready to run down into the pit. Puppy on Illidan's back foot right now. And let's see, is he, going to break off the pursuit. The rest of VirtusPro has scrambled elsewhere. Funnick just going one-on-one with Roche. Here comes Dindy in, and here comes Havost. Could be another Aegis, most likely will be another Aegis with Smile down. And does have buyback as well, but it looks like they may just want to go ahead and sack this and take their chances at defending their racks.
And this is a big opening. It means that the buybacks are down for both carries, but Havos is going to be able to have the Aegis. So they have a huge advantage now in the next team fight. Even if they don't necessarily have the stronger late game, they have a huge advantage in Aegis, and that should give them the advantage in the team fight. That was a really smart decision, though, by VirtusPro, and how they approached that team fight with the Furion teleporting in and giving Naga Siren the opportunity to have the Boots of Travel go onto the Furion Treants. That allowed them to be able to come in from behind and potentially completely spoil all of Na'Vi, kind of sandwich them in, and completely crush them. However, that was all ruined by just the most beautiful hook shot coming in from Funnick, who was able to isolate some of those heroes and make that team fight too uphill, pretty much, for VirtusPro, because the rest of the VP crew had to go up this clutch point, and that is so tough to be able to make it through, to be able to provide that help for the Furion and the Naga Sirens. So, in the end, they just try and, you know what, they say it's not worth it. We're going to let Furion die. The Song of Siren will do what it can, and we're just going to continue to keep on split pushing. They've already taken down this tier 3 at bottom, down to 200 health. And that's only been illusions. Like, never once has Illidan actually approached the base uphill with his hero. That's just been purely illusions, bit by bit, taking down that tower.
Yeah, both teams are just playing so well. The newest pickup coming out from Havos, though, I absolutely adore. He's got a free slot. It's occupied by the Aegis right now, but he is on his way, or at least was on his way, to a butterfly. Yeah, we can see he's already got the quarterstaff. He's already got the Talisman of Evasion done, sitting on the courier as we speak. Having that out against the 6-slotted Naga Siren means she's going to have to sell something she's already built to try and build an MKB if she wants it. Now, that's not going to be the biggest deal. She's got about trust funds set away, just about 8,000 gold tucked away for Illidan right now, but still trying to stay a step ahead, trying to make sure you have the jump on them. And we'll see if he's actually going to try to hide that and finish that out before making a run. He's actually got enough for the Eagle Song right now if he wants to finish that. However, well, he doesn't have buyback to begin with, so now might be the time. Get a jump on her, have your MKB and your own butterfly, and try to just take a big back-breaking fight when you know her buyback is down as well.
I'm really, really curious what's going on with NS right now, because normally most heroes you would say, okay, right now he's just hiding himself in order to provide the push. They're just waiting for an opportunity for NS pretty much to pop out and then start pushing in this wave. But Ancient Apparition is not that kind of hero. Like, he has 0 abilities that actually allow him to clear through a creep wave and start it getting in the other momentum. So it means he has to kind of sit there and auto-attack it for a while, in which case he's exposed. So I would actually say that NS is actually just trying to get the biggest Ice Blast AoE that he possibly can by putting himself in pretty much the opposite side of the map. I mean, I can't believe I'm actually saying that's a legit strategy, but it actually is. For NS, with the fact that he has Aghanims, that's all you really care about with an Ancient Apparition. As long as you have that big AoE, you hit the biggest Ice Blast you possibly can on his multiple heroes, that's all that matters to an Ancient Apparition. None of his other abilities are actually going to contribute all that much. Jodam's going to get picked off.
Yep, super dead. Never had a chance. Avos did finish the butterfly in the meantime. And I'm still anxious. Yeah, he still hasn't brought it out to himself, so I guess he's not going to try to use it now. Just going to have it available when that slot comes available after the Aegis drops. But ready to lead with the chin. Gets a look at some Naga illusions here. But yeah, this is going to be a hell of a defense. No tower to rely upon. Again, initiation advantage is going to be absolutely everything. And I love the point that you make about what he's doing. It really does make the most sense. I think you're dead right. What else are you worried about? The biggest thing that matters is hitting a lot of heroes with that ultimate. Put yourself in a faraway corner from either base. Very little chance with those lanes being as cleared as they are that you're going to see a lot of action head to that corner to begin with. Just make sure you're able to do your job to the best of your abilities. And really, what else can you ask from any Dota player, be they professional or be they casual? Here we go. Havos going to move up, going to be hit with alacrity, trying to chop down these illusions. The rest of VirtusPro sitting and waiting for an opportunity.
Here comes that ultimate.
Here it comes. There's the AA ultimate. Big orb, and Havos will be connected with. And this might be enough to force them back. We see the pipe already popped. AA ultimate put on cooldown for 25 seconds. This is an opportunity for them. Just heard him infest into someone. Looks like it's going to be on the Invoker. Dindy, giving the old okey doke, going around the edge and looking for a target. Puppies crested the high ground. Dindy's going to go ahead and move up. Havos still inside of him. They're going to work on the racks. Now we go. Glyph was popped. Here comes Illidan out. And Kuroki actually stole it. Is going to turn it around, and this could be disastrous. Phonics in position as a hook ready. Not even going to have to use a cause go down. There's a rock as well. Illidan has to scurry to safety. BKB's up on both sides. Smile doing what he can to peck away. Avosto still in great fighting shape. Jonah able to make it away. Smile forces to scurry away as well. There's another good coil. Caught a couple. Havos unable to get on anyone because of Demonic Purge. They're going to be able to pop the Aegis. Roche back up in 4 minutes. Phonic tried to hook out, but no. Nature's Wrath from Smile cleans house. Havos being kited masterfully. Going to be caught within its snare now. Do they have the damage to follow it up? Don't know that they do. There's a good sprout. At least delays things a bit. Phonic, though, able to hook out and able to bring one down. There's an immediate buyback out of AA. Disruption buys Illidan some time. Illidan does have buyback up if he drops. Now, he's still alive for the moment. Havos alive as well. God able to once again blink away. Illidan chop down. Will buy back immediately. Sunstrike's going to be connecting to the north. However, Havos dies for the second time. Havos is down with no buyback, and VirtusPro has managed to hold with both buildings intact. Could be a huge turnaround. In the meantime, we can see Puppey struggling with the creeps at top. They already lost their melee racks there as well, but a wonderful team fight for VirtusPro. Could not have asked more of them.
I think that's it. I honestly think that's it.
Yeah.
Havos does not have a buyback. He was 500 gold away. Maybe if he picked up some sort of hero kill, an extra hero kill, he would have been able to have the buyback. But now Dendy's on cooldown as well. This is pretty much the game. They already took top racks because the creep wave was already going in. This is game right here. They're going to finish off the last set of racks, and Na'Vi, no way to be able to come back from this. 50 seconds. This is VirtusPro cleaning up every single building in the enemy base.
I mean, you can't really say enough. I mean, as we watch everything turn to rubble, I'm sure we'll see a skirmish here or there. But with the three major heroes that Na'Vi has to have, all three down. Yeah, there you go, GG. And Na'Vi, I mean, just look at the way this game has gone. Was severely in Na'Vi's favor for a long time. Dipped back into VirtusPro's favor for the first time in about 40 minutes, and 40 minutes ended up being damn close to the halfway mark in a 71-minute marathon match. I am impressed as hell with VP and the way they made this lineup work for them.
Yeah, honestly, VirtusPro looking so good right now. Taking down Na'Vi is impressive, but the way that Na'Vi didn't make any serious errors, it was just VirtusPro constantly outplaying them, staying one step ahead of Na'Vi the whole entire time. The team fights were masterful. Both teams, you rarely get an opportunity to be able to go into late game and examine the items that people pick up this late. One thing we never mentioned was the Maelstroms being picked up by Na'Vi, all trying in an attempt to deal with the Naga Siren illusions, but it just wasn't enough. Honestly, this game has been, despite the fact that there was a lack of kills, you could just feel that constant tension being built up as we went later and later into the game, and all of a sudden Na'Vi, they try and go in, they try and end it knowing that they wouldn't be able to defend if they lost a team fight, and VirtusPro defending beautifully despite the fact they were going up against an Aegis and all that sort of thing. It didn't matter. They had the buybacks, they had the control, they had the late game. So VirtusPro, extremely impressive play. It's a pleasure to be able to watch Na'Vi try and go up against that kind of late game lineup despite their disadvantage. They just didn't automatically go 45 minutes in, guys, Radiance Naga Siren, this is over. Like, they actually tried to fight this, and they got damn close to actually taking down a Naga Siren hard carry this late into the game, which is really impressive.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And I mean, not only that, but again, VirtusPro, the way they managed the mid game, the way they made space, and it wasn't like, oh, Na'Vi played a little too passively. Sometimes you see that. That wasn't the case. Na'Vi was down their throat for what had to have been a stretch of 30+ minutes, and VirtusPro, even though it was a bend but not break, and they definitely were able to accomplish that. They bent and they gave up some kills here and there. God guided them around. There was some real. I'm sure someone's going to put together. If they should. One of you talented video artists out there should put together some a video of Puck and God's escapes throughout this game, because it really was a pleasure to watch. But just being able to dodge, stretch the map, stretch out Na'Vi, and just nullify Havos' effect. I mean, Havos finished 9-7 overall in the end, but for most of this game, he felt pretty ineffectual. He was sitting, I want to say he was at least 2-4, if not 2-5, at like the 30 to 40 minute mark. I mean, he was really, really struggling. Even Dindy, sitting at 7-4 on a playmaking hero that fits his playstyle so well. Phonics sitting at 6-8, did continue to hit some hooks down the stretch. But for the most part, he didn't even feel that effective early on. And so much of that just due to solid play calling, solid decision making, and just good individual efforts from every position on the side of VP. A very well-earned Game 1 win.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for Game 1. We're going to go ahead and jump into Game 2 after a short little commercial break and all that jazz. We have not gotten a chance to because this game was so intense. We wanted to be able to keep the eyes. We actually have items to be given away. We have 10 different wares with 3 different codes to be given away. We're going to give that away in the beginning of next game. So we'll go ahead and throw out a code, and you guys go ahead and go to Dota2Lounge.com/giveaway and be ready to put in that code for your chance to be able to win 10 different rares. So that's going to be coming up in the beginning of Game 2. Don't go anywhere.